Hi all, Brendan here, and today I will be doing a demo of a brand new AI agents workshop featuring Hedera, the Hedera Eliza plugin. Alright, so the URL for the workshop is github.com, Hedera Dev, Hedera AI Agent Workshop. Now, and I'll put a link in the description. So when you're here, just scroll down a little bit in the README and press the Open in Gitpod button. And that will start our Gitpod. If you're not familiar with what that is, it is essentially a really good user experience wrapper around of Docker, right? So what it does is it gives you Visual Studio Code and a way to interact with your Git repo. And it's all done inside of the browser, and so you don't have to set up anything inside of your system. So here's what we're going to do, right? We basically just wait for these to run in the background. So there's install, right, Eliza, and then there's also run Eliza, which was going to wait for the installation to complete, and then there's also run client of Eliza. So that will wait for run Eliza to complete. And the only one where we have to do anything is to configure Eliza. So this is going to ask you for API keys and private keys. So I'm going to pause the video while this happens, and then we'll come back once it's done. But essentially, what it's going to do is this .env file, right? It's where you put all your credentials. And so this script is going to be collecting these values as well as an API key for your LLM. By default, it's OpenAI, but I will be using Open Browser because that works too. All right, I'm back. So I have completed entering the values, and now the .env file is populated. I've got my account ID and all of these other fields in, and I've also got Open Router set up. Now, the next thing that I would like to do is to open up the character file. So these are all the default characters, with the exception of one that ship with Eliza, and that's the hedera.character.json. And if you're using OpenAI, you can leave this. If you're using something else, right? In my case, I'm using OpenRouter in the specified in the .env file. Then I'll switch to this. But other than that, you can keep the rest of the character file as is. So here's essentially the what makes this character file specific to Hedera, right? So there is something called Hedera Agent Kit, and that is a library of functions with specific names that are surfaced as keywords over here. So it says, for example, if asked for a specific token balance for a given wallet called Hedera HTS balance, and then that maps into a function that is present within Hedera Agent Kit. And that's essentially what we're trying to invoke. And there is a whole list of other things as well. Okay, so let's see if Eliza, so we've completed configuration. Now let's see if installation has completed. Now, this is actually quite one of the most irritating parts about Eliza, in that it installs a whole pile of plugins that you'll never use most of the time. And I hope they clean this up or refactor it such that it doesn't need to do that. But essentially, you're on the hook for approximately 5-6 minutes worth of installation time when you're installing Eliza, because that's simply how it works. It's on a fast internet connection, mind you. All right, and once that's done, it'll run Eliza, and then subsequently, once Eliza is running, that's the server, then the client will run, and when the client runs, it'll open up in a new tab. So that's what we're waiting for. So I'm going to pause the video again and resume once the installation has completed. All right, welcome back. It looks like the installation is just completed. It took a total of 5 minutes plus, and we finally got there. So once this is done, we can see that the run Eliza script has kicked in, and shortly we should see listening on port something or another, and instruction is to run the client, which we do not need to do because that's already built in. So let's wait for Eliza to start. Okay, there we go. So Eliza is running and it's serving on port 3000, which we can ignore. And the next thing is that it is going to run the client. So we can see the client is running on localhost 5173. And what we'll need to do now is click on ports and open this up. And so that will bring us to a server that is hosted by Gitpod. And you know, the digits at the beginning, that's essentially the port number mapping to what's running on localhost within the Docker image. Okay, so once we're inside the Eliza client, there's only one agent that we've started, and that is based on this hedera.character.json file that we looked at earlier on. And then we can just click on the chat button underneath of it, and then we can type hi in the chat. What is the HBAR balance of your account? And I'll add a hint, 0.0. I believe it's 1534. Yes. Send message. So that's essentially a balance query, and let's see what it's doing. So it says, hello, I'm so-and-so, and checking the balance of the account, and it immediately follows up with a balance of 9441 HBAR. And now let's go and verify that, right? So this is my account, and I'm going to go to Hashscan, right? And we can see I've got 9441. All right, so that's bang on. Let's try something else. If I was to create a new HTS topic called Hedera create topic, okay. Use the memo topic So I'm going to specify a memo for that topic. All right, that's great. I'll create a new HTS topic with this memo that I've specified, and it's correctly identified the action to invoke Hedera Agent Kit with, which is Hedera create topic, and it's even given me the transaction link and the ID. So there's a transaction, so I can go straight to here and I can see the transaction and I can see that it's created that topic. And if I go to topic ID, I can see the memo is correct, and I'm just going to double check 5533495, and that matches. Okay, so we've seen a successful query, right, in querying HBAR balance. And we also saw a transaction which updates the state, right? So we've sent a transaction, signed it, and executed it on chain, and created a topic.